Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and it's now my great pleasure to present again ITIC's chairman, Dr. Taleb Rifai, who in conversation with Nick Mayer of PwC, who we've seen in previous sessions, and also Mr. Haitham Mattar of Beyond Tourism, to discuss the opportunities which are now being presented by the tremendous developments and opening up of Saudi Arabia. So, Dr. Taleb, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul. You've done a great job. And thank you, Santos, for the very interesting presentation that you did. Okay, let me start like this. This is a very informal conversation about potential of tourism opportunities in Saudi Arabia. Our big sponsor and our really good ally in this ITIC endeavor from last year to this year. Now, what I'd like to say about Saudi Arabia is the following. The most important part is that Saudi Arabia now is wiping the grape of its seeds that it had put 20 years ago. I believe that Saudi Arabia has done a great job in raising appreciation and understanding and had its people now appreciate tourism. You know, there was a time where tourism was associated religiously with anything that's bad. A tourist was seen as somebody that's either drunk or playing naked on the beach. That's all. Saudi Arabia has moved from that concept to the concept of appreciating its culture, its own people, and moving really into a completely different realm. I give the credit of that to Prince Sultan bin Salman, who was the head of the Tourism and Heritage Society before. Today, we have a new leadership in Saudi Arabia. This new leadership is building on what was done before. What is now happening is very, very important, because now the people are seeing Saudi Arabia as a new destination. The people of Saudi Arabia are very important at this. They have come together as a society to become proud of their own country, which is something new that was not there before. So culturally speaking, raising of awareness amongst the people is the task. I believe that the leadership of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman now is very important in this regard, because what he's done is he's drafted the Vision 2030 and is responsible for following it up. In this regard, he is really building on tourism because he believes in the diversity it brings to the economy. Economy cannot be only dependent on oil. You know, there are many, many examples of countries around him and in the world. For example, look at Dubai. Dubai had nothing really. What it had is the political will. The political will created a very important tourism industry. It's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have, always. Las Vegas is something similar to that. Built in the middle of the desert, nothing. But it became now a very attractive tourism destination because there was a will behind it. So what if you have much more than what Dubai or Las Vegas has? You know, Saudi Arabia has so much to offer. It has history, it has culture, it has diversity. For example, many people think of Saudi Arabia only as desert. It's desert, it's beaches, mountains, trees. In the southeast of Saudi Arabia, southwest of Saudi Arabia, Asir area, on the border with Yemen, there are mountains, beautiful, beautiful mountains there. I've been there myself. And in the north of Saudi Arabia, there are the extension of the Nabatean culture that is started at Petra as its capital in Jordan. So there is tremendous geographical and natural diversity. There is also cultural diversity, because what happened is that Hajj and Umrah has brought in so many people to Saudi Arabia. Throughout history, they have become more and more part of that society. They brought diversity. Anywhere around Jeddah, Mecca, and Medina is a very, very rich area in this diversity. But thirdly, the people of Saudi Arabia altogether are very, very mature people, very warm people. That's the most important asset, because when we think sometimes of places, we think as if they are not occupied or not inhabited with people. The people there are very welcoming. They open their eyes, their hearts for you when they come to receive you. I wanted to say this so that we can start a conversation, Nick, on this. I am familiar a bit with what is on the table now regarding the Red Sea project. But I think what I wanted to stress here is the political will and the leadership behind this. The issue of visas, for example, couldn't have come from there. It came because there was a will and political will to do something about tourism. They believe in tourism, and that's the most important. In my role as the UNWTO Secretary General for the last 12 years, I've recognized that the political will is the most important element in trying to move a country from a place to another. There are countries that have so much, but know nothing about it, and countries that have very little and are doing so much about it. So it's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. That's what I want to say at this point, and I'll turn it to you, Nick, now. You can
You've
come back
almost
again.
taken away everything from me.
No.
No, you know,
Please.
it's. I echo a lot of what you say, and I think to you talk about the political will. I think what I have been able to observe, and which I would invite our audience to take a look at as well, is the strategic will and the execution will that stands behind these projects. I mean, I can't help myself for being a management consultant, and what you just described and the way I've observed it, which I find both interesting professionally, but also in what it will produce, for the population of the kingdom as well as for the visitors to the kingdom, is how strategically and how, I would say, seriously tourism is being developed. I mean, I'm a tourism consultant for the last 20 years, and I've often lamented that governments don't take tourism sufficiently serious as a strategic industry, right? It's
serious. That's right.
Yeah, it's often hidden in the middle market segments. It's sectioned. The definition is vague. It doesn't show up in the national accounts, and very often in countries that otherwise were very good at developing industries, they kind of totally overlooked what is the fourth largest industry in the world, where somewhere between every 8th to 10th person in the world is basically employed directly or indirectly. And the kingdom has certainly learned from that omission from other countries and has chosen a distinctly different path, which is this very strategic way of going at it. And I think earlier today we heard some really good summaries also from some of the representatives of the Ministry of Tourism. It was, I think, from the investment attractions or investments team, and the sheer magnitude of everything that is going on. And at the same time, the very, I'm not sure if strict is the right way, but the very empowered but high-paced rollout of these projects is something that I've not seen to this extent, certainly in my professional lifetime. You have a few extra years on me, not many. Have you seen something like this somewhere else before?
No, not really, not as big as Saudi Arabia. I want to also share with you a story that happened with me last year when I visited Saudi Arabia. It's the first time I see Saudis, men and women, behind reception desks, which is something I have not seen before, because there was a rule, there was a regulation now that is issued by the leadership there to say that nobody can work on receptions unless you're a Saudi national. So that's a good start, because that's the first thing you see of any hotel when you come into the hotel. And the idea is that both men and women are getting, Saudi men and women, nationals, are getting into the tourism, and they like that. They like that, and they're doing a great job. They're very courteous, very, very attentive to all our needs, which is very important. In the past, you used to see all expatriates only there. In Saudi Arabia, I have to say, you have to admit, it's a country that's very dependent, like many other Gulf states, on expatriates. But when it comes to tourism, it's really going the right way. And that's because of the vision of the Crown Prince, I would say. He knows what exactly needs to be done. And he's yes, go ahead.
No, I was just going to react to this. You're right, tourism is really only justified as an industry if you manage to generate basically benefits for your population, right? And not just for a few people within your population, but for your population at large, right? So
yes,
what you just said is this Saudization program that has taken place at different parts of the industry, and presumably, I suppose, will continue to other sectors of the industry, it has really started generating a lot of the benefits, in delivering the benefits into the ground, right? Into the regions, into the remote regions. also into professions which were easily accessible to female talent and so on. So I think what you just said before, and I like to take a look at it from the strategy again, is ultimately the tourism strategy is one of the vehicles that I understand that the kingdom uses to deliver the Vision 2030, which will complete.
That's right.
Is aimed to deliver benefits for its own population, right? A vibrant society, and these elements, I think they do really well through the tourism element. Sometimes I'm not sure if you have the same feeling. Sometimes you got to be careful that this doesn't sound the wrong way. So the giga projects are obviously very impressive, and by their sheer magnitude and size, and also by the very professional marketing and they receive a visibility which I think they deserve, which sometimes almost camouflages what happens in the other 7, 8, 9 regions of the kingdom, where there is, as you said in your introduction, brilliant spots, be it in Essir, in Taif, in other places, where I sometimes almost feel the giga projects shine so brightly that you don't see behind it to see what else there is, and there is a lot, as you said before. And I really enjoyed discovering those areas in the past.
There is a lot. There is a lot. There is a lot, but I'm counting on the awareness and the leadership of the Saudi people themselves. They are going to start developing some of the ideas. That's the whole thing. The thing is that I prefer projects that are not advertised outside first over the projects, the big projects that you're talking about, for a simple reason. I'll share with you a little experience that I've seen in one of the Asian countries that I've visited. It's an island country in East Asia. When I went there once, the minister there, which was a lady minister, was in love with a certain project there. It's in an island. It's away from the capital. So she wanted me to go see it. I was still Secretary General at the time. So what I did is we took a helicopter that was arranged by the investor, take us from the capital to that island. When we went to that island, we landed, we saw the project. It's a beautiful project, of course. It's a project that occupied a big piece of land, and it had a lot of hotels and restaurants, each one's of a kind. It's like Disneyland for adults. A hotel built Mexican style, a hotel built Chinese style, a hotel built French style, and so on and so forth. Now, the investor that was there waiting for us at the landing of the helicopter told us at the time that he had to buy the entire island to be able to control that investment. And what they didn't tell me at the time is that there were 90,000 people living on that island. So I got curious. I asked, what happened to these people? He said, don't worry. I'm like their father. I take very good care of them. I'm employing all the people in my hotel are from that community. He said, I open hotels, I open schools, I open clinics in the community. So I asked to go see that community. He was hesitant a little bit, but the minister told him he has to go. I went there, I spent 2 hours only. I came back and I saw him having dinner with the minister. He said, what did you say? I said, you're right. People are very appreciative of what you've done. But, he said, oh, there's a but. He said, there's a big but there. He said, what? I told him, I'm not sure that the children and the grandchildren of these people are going to continue to want to live serving the rich people of the world. They go back to their own community and see the difference in their lifestyle and economic income. So the moral of the story is that's happening in Saudi Arabia now. People have to interact with the tourists. You have to break down this barrier. Make walls between tourists and the people there lower. You have to do that. You can't just treat tourists as if they're God's coming from Mars or something like that. These times are gone. So I'm waiting for the Saudi people to initiate their own projects there, their own little, middle, and small size projects. In these areas, in the southeast, southwest, in the desert, there are so many imaginative ideas. Because the best way of making employment is not to make big projects to employ people, but have people employ themselves. Self-employment is much more important than big employment.
Well, I think you start seeing it a lot in the small 1, 2, 3 people, enterprises that start springing up around where the initial tourism activities happen. And I mean, right. But I think to your point, right? I mean, so often people talk about sustainability, and what they really mean is environment, right? The term sustainability, and if you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, of course, has many more dimensions of areas that you want to address than only the environment. I'm not suggesting you don't address environmental issues, but a lot of them, of course, have to do with community, right? Of creating good jobs, of allowing people to stay within their regions, in their social environment where they are comfortable, rather than all migrating towards that 1 giga city, you know, which leaves the countrysides empty. And again, and I'm coming back to the strategy, what I do like, in fact, is that when you look at the national tourism strategy in Saudi, and at the way also that investments are being evaluated, there is a very large and serious component of sustainability that goes beyond the environment and says, okay, well, what are you going to do for job creation? What are you going to do for access for females to the workplace? How are you going to create indirect jobs? How are you going to engage the community through transacting or procuring or supplying yourself from them? And you start really seeing that. I mean, to those of you that are actually attending this chat we're having right now, I mean, you got to go see it, right, to really believe.
Yes.
And I think many of my colleagues that I tell that I work a lot in Saudi Arabia, indeed, still have an image of Saudi Arabia that is rooted somewhere of 20, 25, 30 years ago, as you said. And
at least, if not more. Yes.
For some egoistical reasons, sometimes almost wish it stayed like that, because now it's very exotic, right? And you can actually discover sites where in 10 years, we just know there's going to be 1 million people there. So, you know, we cannot do it now, but it's really exciting to see this. But I tell all my friends, like, you know, got to go see it. If afterwards what you see you don't like, then we can talk again. But you will like, because it's just very, very exciting, right? So I'm very curious to see what's happening next.
But seeing it means interacting with the people, not just seeing the place. It's the experience you have with the people there. You have to go see the people, visit them, eat their food, listen to their music, listen to their stories, listen to their dreams. That's what's important. Because as you said, sustainability is not just about the environment. Sustainability, in essence, means to sustain life on Earth. That's what it is. To sustain life on Earth is much more than just protecting the environment, as important as that is. Because sustainability is about social and economic sustainability as well. There are 3 pillars of sustainability: environmental, social, and economic. And the community has a lot to do with the social and economic sustainability. We need to make sure that the community embraces this industry and feels proud of its own country. That's why it was important in the last 20 years. All the travel that happened by Saudis to Saudi sites galvanized that spirit. And then after that, now when anybody comes, these people are coming to a place that's welcoming them and proud of what they have. We show the best.
One of the best way I do that is take Uber rides in Riyadh. So especially when you arrive late at night with a late flight, you often have actually, you know, quite young drivers that have a day job. I have a gentleman, for example, that is studying dentistry. That's not that young, and they drive Uber, amongst other things, also just to have work.
Talk to them.
Right,
yeah, talk to them.
That's brilliant. Very brilliant. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. So I think we agree is lots remains to be done. It's maybe a small window. I believe Hamad said this morning from the investment attractions office from the ministry, that there is a short period left to see undiscovered Saudi Arabia before it will perhaps become mainstream.
That's right.
So we have what?
This is an opportunity. This is an opportunity.
He said 2020. I think he said 2023. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there is an opportunity here for Saudis and for foreigners to come to Saudi Arabia, because you have to uncover what's not covered, to discover what's not been known before. I think that there is a divine force there that is now opening up to the world. And this force is an unstoppable force. People are curious. You travel to places, you want to know more, you want to learn more. That's what a new tourist, that's what a new traveler is all about. It's not about just seeing things. You could see that in a movie, you could see it in a video, you could see it in a virtual reality. But to go and experience it yourself is something else. Saudi Arabia is ready for that. And I believe that that's now why Saudis investing in Saudi Arabia is timely, very timely now, definitely.
I mean, they have created a very robust welcoming structure, right, for investment. Right. We've had some of the representatives this morning. I mean, between those directly charged with attracting investment to those facilitating it by basically onboarding foreign investors into the Saudi business environment, to the tourism fund that we've heard this morning that can support with infrastructure and other elements. I mean, it has become relatively quickly now. I'm not sure it was difficult before, but more efficient right now to basically get to the right investment opportunities much faster. And I think we had some people on the panel this morning that made it clear.
Look at the way they developed their visa system. They opened up their visa system.
But I think if somebody said this morning, look, we're open for business, and I think that's really true, right? I mean, I got asked earlier in my panel, how to choose your investment. So amongst other things, you may wish to invest in a place that may come out of COVID much stronger as others, simply because they have a freer playing field, right? That's something that I also find that I look forward to observing in the kingdom. Is many of our countries that come from more traditional tourism, we are almost to some extent doomed to try to reactivate our existing asset base as quick as possible, right? Because there's jobs and investments and buildings, etc. Whereas the kingdom has certainly started, but is at an earlier stage. So should they discover post-COVID that one aspect of tourism has suddenly become more sought after, whereas another one perhaps slightly less sought after, then you have all the freedom in the world to still readjust and hit that sweet spot very efficiently. So I think that's
absolutely right.
It's a sad reason, right. But it is an interesting outcome.
You're absolutely right. It all takes a political will to do that, because you want to believe in tourism. Yes, and the strategy, and the people to do that. I was listening very carefully this morning to all our Saudi representatives, particularly Mr. Majid from the Ministry of Investment there. Mm-hmm. And they were all very convincing. What I should also attract attention to is language is never a problem to them. You can speak Arabic, you can speak English. Their English is excellent, as you well know. So nobody feels a foreigner there. That's a good thing about Saudi Arabia. Yeah.